From around 900 AD through the late medieval era, countless European peasants discovered a truth that modern science has only lately affirmed. The frozen world above was a death sentence, yet just 3 feet beneath the surface, the earth held a constant life-sustaining 50 all year long. While chroniclers wrote of crowns and conquests, archaeologists have since unearthed intricate webs of underground shelters, refuges that shielded entire families from merciless winters, Viking incursions, and village-consuming fires. These were not panicked burrows scraped by terrified hands. They were carefully crafted survival systems, handed down, refined, and preserved across generations, and the lives of those who dwelled within them have remained hidden for centuries. Hi, if these stories help you settle in, feel free to subscribe, and I always enjoy knowing where you're listening from. Drop your city and the hour. It's comforting to see how far these words travel. All right, let's journey back to medieval Europe, sometime in the early 1300s. But before we take that step, make yourself comfortable. Seriously, fluff those pillows. Tug that blanket close. Because where we're headed, comfort isn't a luxury, it's a memory you'll cling to. Your eyes flutter open to darkness, not the gentle dimness of your room now, with its soft corners and ambient glow. This darkness is absolute, thick as wet wool pressed against your face, and the cold it's already inside you. Your name is Agnes, you're 12. You've just awakened in a peasant's hut in Bavaria, during a winter so severe no elder can recall its like. The straw beneath you crackles as you shift, pulling the threadbare wool blanket tighter. It barely helps. Worn thin by decades of use, it once belonged to your grandmother whose face you never knew. Each breath leaves your lips as mist barely visible, but chilling the moment it touches your skin. The fire died in the night. Of course, it did. Your father Wolf stayed up feeding it the last splinters of dried wood, piece by careful piece. But exhaustion always wins now. The single room you share with your family feels less like shelter and more like the belly of a frozen beast. The walls are wattle and daub-woven sticks smeared with mud, straw, and likely dung. Your home stands on earth and hope alone, and right now, the wind slips through every crack like a thief who's made himself at home. You hear your little brother Oswin breathing nearby, 7 years old, buried so deep in the straw he's probably the warmest soul in the house. Annoying, yes, but clever. Your mother, Edith, is already awake, you know by the soft scrape of flint on stone. Her quiet battle to revive the embers. She's been at it since the first hint of dawn. She hardly sleeps anymore. There's too much to carry. Agnes, her voice slices through the black. Come help me with the fire. Every part of you begs to stay curled in your meager warmth, but you rise anyway because that's what you do. That's what everyone does. You survive or you don't. There's no middle ground. The floor is frozen. Earth literally hard ridges of cracked mud press into your bare soles. Your shoes are rough leather, patched from scrapser. Somewhere in the dark you fumble until your fingers find them, stiff and cold. Just as you reach your mother's side, the fire catches a feeble flame, trembling but enough to cast shadows across her face. She looks weary, as always. But today, something new flickers in her eyes. Your father wants to show you something, she murmurs, glancing toward the door. Gray light seeps through the cracks in the wooden frame. Outside, your father stands wrapped in layered wool and a sheepskin cloak. The cold strikes like a blow, the kind that steals your breath and stings your eyes. The village is eerily still. No farmers, no women hauling water, no children on errands, just untouched snow blanketing everything in false serenity. This world is not peaceful. Nothing about it ever is. Come, he says, just that one word, and turns toward the hills beyond the last cottage. You follow, you always follow. Questions can wait. Your boots crunch through the snow each step, echoing in the silence. Your father walks with certainty. He's tread this path since before you drew breath. At the hillside, he stops. You scan the slope snow, scattered stones, brittle grass. Nothing remarkable. I don't see anything, you say. He almost smiles. Almost then. He kneels, brushing snow from what appears to be a rock. But it's not. It's a wooden hatch, cunningly camouflaged. He lifts it. Beneath, steps carved into the earth, descending into blackness. This is our earth house, he says. Your grandfather built it, his father before him, and today you learn what it truly is. He disappears into the ground. You hover at the edge, heart pounding. Humans belong above, don't they? But then warmth rises from the opening. Not heat, but undeniable warmth, gentler than the killing air above. You descend. The steps are narrow, uneven, lined with time-worn planks. You duck as the tunnel dips, one hand trailing along a wall smoothed by generations of palms. The darkness isn't total. Ahead, a faint glow. Your father has lit a small oil lamp. Then the passage opens. You stop, stunned. It's a chamber, carved from the living earth, a low ceiling held by thick beams, walls of packed clay, some daubed with red and brown pigments. A cross, a tree, tiny handprints, fossilized in time, and it's warm, not summer warm, but like being wrapped in layers on a calm evening. Later, you'll learn it's near 50. To you now, it feels like grace. How, you whisper. Your father sets the lamp on a shelf. The earth remembers warmth, he says. 3 feet down, it doesn't care about winter or summer. It stays the same. Your grandfather noticed his cellar never froze. So he dug deeper till he had this. You take in the room anew, a raised sleeping platform lined with straw and furs. Niche shelves hold pottery and carved boxes, and in one corner a tunnel vanishing into deeper shadow. There's more, he says. 3 chambers, one for living, one for food, and a passage to Eric's farm so we can flee unseen. Eric, your neighbor. You never knew he had such a place. Of course you didn't. No one speaks of these things. That's the point. He guides your hand to a patch of wall. Feel this. The earth is cool but not cold, and textured, straw mixed into clay, stronger than it looks, he explains. Took my father 3 winters to get it right. Kept collapsing at first. He moves to the tunnel's mouth. That passage dips down before rising again. Know why? You shake your head. Cold air sinks. Warm air rises. The low point traps the chill so it never reaches us. He taps his temple. Your grandfather couldn't read a word, but he understood something cathedral builders never did. A scurry in the tunnel, just a rat. Your father doesn't flinch. Rats we can handle, he says. It's men we built this for. The word hangs heavy. You've heard tales, raiders, armies, bandits, but your village has been spared until now. Last winter, he continues, word came of armed men moving through the forest. 20 or more. The whole village came down. Here 43 people in 3 connected earth houses. 11 days. We heard them pass overhead on the second. Horses, wagons. They found the village empty. Took grain, chickens, your mother's best cooking pot. He says it with a grim half smile. But they didn't find us, because we weren't there. We were here. You imagine it, 43 souls, silent in the dark, carved out by farmers who just wanted to live. He hands you a stub of charcoal. See these marks near the sleeping area. Short lines grouped in 5 C11 tallies. Someone counted the days, he says. We all just waited. Tried not to breathe too loud. Children were hardest to quiet. He puts the charcoal back. Why, you're here, Agnes. Someday, you'll need this place. You'll need to find it, use it, keep it alive. The entrance is hidden for a reason. The tunnels connect for a reason. Everything here exists for a reason. And now, it's your turn to learn it. Above, a bell rings sharp, urgent. You both freeze. The village bell tolls for only 2 things: fire or danger. Your father's face hardens. The lesson ends. He's already moving toward the stairs. Stay here, he orders. If I'm not back in an hour, bring your mother and Oswin down. Use the tunnel to Eric's. He'll know what to do. Then he's gonna need to the gray, alone. In the earth your grandfather shaped, you count heartbeats. The lamp flickers. Somewhere overhead, not neighborly squabbles. This is fear-made sound. You clutch a wooden ladle from a shelf, Pethic armor. But all you have. Footsteps pound down the passage. Your mother appears. Then your father. Oswin limp in his arms. Move. Your father. Snaps. More follow Girder, Henrik and his pregnant wife, Martyr. The widow Brunhild with her 4 children. The toddler, wailing. Girder takes the child. Taps a rhythm on her back. Within moments, silence. My grandmother taught me, she says. Works on goats, too. Henrik snorts, then clamps a hand over his mouth. Horrified. Everyone freezes, but the sound doesn't carry. 3 feet of earth shields, you for now bodies, fill the chamber. The air thickens with wool, sweat, fear. Your father bars the entrance from within. How many? Girder asks, voice steady, despite her frail frame. 20, at least, maybe 30. Swords, axes, horses, and a wagon. A wagon means they came to take, not just pass through. Did they see you? Henrik asks, arm around Martre's swollen belly. Most headed for the storehouse first. They'll be busy a while. A buva crash. Wood splintering, Oswin whimpers. We're playing the quiet game, your mother whispers. Rocking him, the widow's toddler fusses until Girder's ancient trick stills her. You sit against the wall, your grandfather, smoothed by hand, wondering if strangers now rifle through your home. There's little to stillness. Your grandmother's silver cross, which your mother clutches beneath her dress, just to be sure. Which your mother clutches beneath her dress, just to be sure. They'll take the livestock, someone murmurs from the storage tunnel. Better that than us. Then you smell it. Smoke, your father's head jerks up. Thin tendrils curl through cracks in the ceiling. They're burning the storehouse, Henrik says. If they can't take the grain, they'll destroy it. What if they burn everything? No one answers. They don't need to. You'd survive. Bellowboot emerge too. Ash, No homes, no barns, no food except what's stored underground. And winter has only just begun. The smoke thickens sacred wrong. Martyr coughs, then flushes with shame. There's fresh air through Eric's tunnel. Your father says his entrance is on the far slope. Smoke won't reach it. We move, now, quietly. You grip your mother's dress as you shuffle into the connecting passage. The walls narrow. You crouch, then crawl, then rise into Eric's smaller chamber, ready crowded with his family, the Tanners, old hands from the village edge. Eric, broad as an oak, explains. The passage rises before it descends, like a reversed chimney. Smoke escapes upward. How long do we wait? Brunhild asks, her toddler now asleep. Until they leave, and if they don't, they always do, once they've taken what they want. Time loses meaning underground. You huddle in the lamplight, listening to muffled chaos above, surrounded by people who built hidden worlds to outlast the cruelty of the one on the surface, not with swords or stone towers, but with earth, memory, and the quiet certainty that survival is its own kind of legacy. Ours. There's no certainty. The uneasy stillness of people wedged into awkward postures, leaning against earthen walls, sitting on the cold floor, straining to rest while staying sharp. The children eventually surrender to exhaustion, fear, and boredom, pulling them under. In equal measure, even Oswin finally closes his eyes. Curled against your mother, like a cat seeking warmth. You don't sleep. You can't. At some point, perhaps much later, the chaos above fades, the crashes grow distant, the shouts dissolve into silence, the smoke scent thins, slipping away through the same cracks it entered. Still, no one moves. Your father and Eric lock eyes. A silent conversation passes between them, the kind that needs no words, forged over decades of shared winters and shared losses. I'll go look, Eric says, not alone. Someone stays with the families. Your father nods. He doesn't like it, two can tell, but he nods. Eric slips into his entrance tunnel, the one hidden on the far slope of the hill. For such a large man, he moves with eerie quietness, years of practice. Or perhaps the instinct that survival demands silence. He's gone what feels like forever. When he returns, his face says everything before his voice does. They're gone. Headed south along the river road, I watched until they vanished from sight. He pauses, scanning the room. The storehouse is ash, 2 houses on the north edge gone, the ones nearest the road. Another breath. The church still stands. Everything south of it untouched. Your house lies south of the church. Your father exhales a breath he's held for hours. We wait until nightfall, then we go up, a few at a time, quietly, in case they left watchers behind. The waiting is worse than the raid itself. You've already survived men with swords walking over your head. You should feel relief. Instead, you feel hollow, emptied out, as if fear had scraped away everything that was once inside you, leaving only a silent cavity where your heart used to beat. Your mother strokes your hair, says nothing. There are no words for this. When darkness finally falls above, and your father whispers, "It's time," your legs have gone stiff from stillness. You stumble on the uneven floor, catch yourself on the wall, keep moving. The night air strikes you like a slap cold, clean tinged with the ghost of smoke. Above, stars scatter across a sky so deep it seems violet. The moon is only a sliver, barely enough light, but enough to trace shapes in the distance. Your father takes one of your hands. Your mother takes the other. Oswin rides on her hip, wide awake now, but utterly silent. Even he understands. Silence is survival. Together, your family walks back toward what remains of your village. The path is familiar. Your feet know every root, every stone, every hollow in the frozen ground. You've walked it 1,000 times. But tonight, it feels foreign, like returning to a land that no longer knows your name. You smell the storehouse before you see it, that wet, charred odor of burned timber and scorched grain. It reminds you of the time your mother burned porridge so badly the pot needed hours of scrubbing. Now, multiply that smell by 1,000. When you reach the village center, your whole family stops. Even Oswin, too young to grasp the ruin, falls still. The storehouse isn't damaged, it's erased. Only a blackened pile of timbers and ash remains, curling thin smoke into the night. The grain meant to carry 60 souls through winter is now carbon, mingled with the bones of the building itself. 2 northern houses share the same fate, the Gruber's home, the widow Martre's cottage, black skeletons glowing faintly with residual heat, warm even from 20 paces away. But your house stands. Your father approaches it slowly, as if calming a startled animal. He steps inside, returns moments later. They took the grain barrel, he says, the dried meat from the rafters, but the walls are sound. We can still live here. Your mother makes a sound, not quite a laugh, not quite a sob. She sets Oswin down and simply stands, staring at the roof, the door, the chimney, at the impossible fact that, after everything, this is still your home. All around you, others emerge from hiding. Families check their houses, count what's gone, what's left. Some stand mute. Old Hans curses under his breath, his entire cache of dried fish gone. But everyone is alive. 43 souls went underground. 40-3 came back up as you stand in the cold, your mother's hand gripping your shoulder like you might vanish. You understand something new. That hole in the ground, your grandfather's earth house, that cramped, dark chamber where you weathered the worst day of your life, surrounded by fierce wet and the distant thunder of destructions. You. Not luck, not prayer. Earth, and now, with a certainty that sinks into your bones deeper than winter cold, you'll never see the ground beneath your feet as mere dirt again. It's shelter, it's armor, it's the thin line between your family drawing breath. Tonight or not, your father meets your gaze, nods once. You don't know exactly what the nod means, but you think you do. This is your inheritance, not land, not silver, not cattle, knowledge, the knowledge of how to survive, and tomorrow. When dawn bleeds gray over the ashes of the storehouse and the ruins of neighbors' homes, you will descend again with your father. He'll teach you everything to maintain the chambers, expand them, strengthen them, because this won't be the last time. Raiders always return, and next time, you'll be ready. Morning arrives, cold and colorless. None of you slept much. You huddled together on the straw mattress, all 4 beneath every blanket you own, staring at the ceiling, flinching at every sound, the snap of a branch, a dog's bark, the groan of settling wood. Your mind kept insisting the raiders were coming back, even though you saw them leave, even though your father swore they were gone. But dawn came anyway, as it always does, and with it, the full weight of what happened settles like frost on stone. The village gathers before the church, the only building large enough to hold them all. Father Bernard has opened its doors. Though it's not Sunday, his face looks a decade older than yesterday. Everyone's does. Otto, the headman, you've known him your whole life, steps forward, barrel-chested, usually booming. His voice today is thin, worn. The storehouse is gone, he says. 3/4 of our winter grain. Some families still have stores at home, partly taken, partly intact. He scans the crowd, about 60 souls, children included. Not everyone escaped unharmed. Marti, our Henrik's pregnant wife, began labor underground and had to be carried home. The widow Brunhild's eldest boy twisted his ankle in the dark, dulled. Old Hans still grumbles about his fish, though no one listens anymore. We take stock, Otto says, every barrel, every strip of dried meat. Then we figure how to stretch it until spring. Your father steps forward. There's more food than you think. Heads turn. Otto raises an eyebrow. Underground, your father says, storage chambers. Some families have kept provisions there for years, cooler than any cellar. Food lasts longer. A murmur spreads. Some nod, they know. Others look bewildered. Secrets aren't shared equally. How much, Otto asks. Between Eric and me, enough grain for 3 months, plus vegetables, meat, ale. Louder murmurs. Now, some edged with anger. Why should your families eat while the Grubers lost everything? Your father lifts a hand. I'm not saying we keep it. I'm saying we pool everything underground and above and share equally. But the underground stores must be managed carefully. Open the entrance too often, and the steady temperature breaks. Otto considers. Practical by nature, that's why he's lasted. Show me. And so you spend the morning underground again, this time with your father, Otto, Eric, and 2 village elders. The storage chamber is deeper than the living one, the passage steeper, the air cooler. By the time you reach the bottom, you must be 8 feet below the surface, maybe more. Your father lights a torch. The flicker reveals a sight that steals your breath. Barrels dozens lined along the walls like sentinels, each sealed with tallow or clay to lock out air and moisture. Wheat, your father taps 1, barley in the next 2, oats after that. We rotate oldest first, newest to the back. Otto walks the line, calculating silently. And here, your father moves to the opposite. And here, your father moves to the opposite wall, where the floor changes, a large, sand-filled pit. He digs, pulls out a carrot, orange, firm, as fresh as if harvested yesterday. Carrots, parsnips, turnips, onions, kept separate otherwise. Everything tastes like onions for a month. How long do they last? Otto asks. All winter if done right. The sand keeps them from touching. One rotten won't spoil the rest, and the temperature never drops enough to freeze them. You look around with new eyes. He scans the crowd, about 60 souls, children included. Not everyone escaped unharmed. Mar-T.R. Henrik's pregnant wife began labor underground and had to be carried home. The widow Brunhild's eldest boy twisted his ankle in the dark. Old Hans still grumbles about his fish, though no one listens anymore. We take stock, Otto says, every barrel, every strip of dried meat. Then we figure how to stretch it until spring. Your father steps forward. There's more food than you think. Heads turn. Otto raises an eyebrow. Underground, your father says, storage chambers. Some families have kept provisions there for years, cooler than any cellar. Food lasts longer. A murmur spreads. Some nod, they know. Others look bewildered. Secrets aren't shared equally. How much? Otto asks. Between Eric and me, enough grain for 3 months, plus vegetables, meat, ale. Louder murmurs. Now, some edged with anger. Why should your families eat while the Grubers lost everything? Your father lifts a hand. I'm not saying we keep it. I'm saying we pool everything underground and above and share equally. But the underground stores must be managed carefully. Open the entrance too often, and the steady temperature breaks. Otto considers. Practical by nature, that's why he's lasted. And so you spend the morning underground again, this time with your father, Otto, Eric, and 2 village elders. The storage chamber is deeper than the living one, the passage steeper, the air cooler. By the time you reach the bottom, you must be 8 feet below the surface. Maybe more. Your father lights a torch. The flicker reveals a sight that steals your breath. Barrels, dozens lined along the walls like sentinels, each sealed with tallow or clay to lock out air and moisture. Wheat. Your father taps one, barley in the next 2. Oats after teeth isn't just storage, it's a system. Niche shelves hold ceramic pots. Your father opens one, golden honey glistens in the torchlight, never spoils. Worth more than silver sometimes. Another niche, wax-sealed pots of dried herbs. Your wife can make anything edible with the right herbs, he tells Otto. But it's the ceiling that holds you transfixed. Dozens of cured pork legs, strings of dried fish, wrinkled sausages, hanging from hooks in the beams. The smell is thick salt, smoke, aged meat, fermented cabbage, the scent of survival itself. We smoke the meat above ground first, your father explains, then bring it down. No flies this deep. The dry air keeps it from spoiling. Smart, Otto says, his first note of genuine admiration. My father learned by trial and error. Lost a season's pork once, he hung it too near the drain channel. Had to dig new ones after that. You notice now the floor slopes subtly toward a stone-lined depression in the corner. Water seeps in rain, melt. Without drainage, this becomes a swamp. By spring, it flows to a lower pit. I empty it twice a year. Otto is quiet a long while. Finally, how many families have setups like this? Your father glances at Eric. 6 or 7 I know of. Some larger, some smaller. The Grubers had one, but it's likely rubble now. So total, how much food? Another pause. Your father calculates. Enough for 30 through winter. Rationed tightly. There are 60 of us. I know. The silence is heavy. 30 mouths fed. 62 feed. The math refuses to balance. There's another option. Eric says, quiet until now. The forest. Otto frowns. It's the Lord's land. Hunting means losing your hand. I'm not talking about hunting gathering. Nuts, roots, winter greens. My grandmother knew them, taught my mother. My mother taught my wife. Women's work, mutters a councilman. Women's work might feed your children, Eric snaps. Is your pride worth more than their bellies? The man has no reply. Otto raises a hand. We do both. Pull the underground stores. Send gathering parties. Pray for early spring. He turns to your father. Can you teach others to build these chambers? It takes time more than we have before deep freeze. But I can show them how to expand what they've got. Easier to widen a hole than dig a new one. That's what we'll do. The meeting ends. Men scatter grim but purposeful. A plan, however desperate, is better than none. Your father lingers in the chamber after the others leave. You stay too. Perhaps because you're still absorbing what you've seen. Perhaps because you sense there's more to learn. He moves to a wall etched with lines and symbols. This is how we track everything, he says, tracing the marks. Each line, a barrel. Each symbol, its contents. Circles for grain, crossed. Lines for meat. Numbers for months stored. You can read numbers. I can count, Agnes. I'm not educated, but I'm not stupid. This isn't reading, it's remembering. I made the system. If I died tomorrow, no one else could decipher it. Then teach me. He looks at you the way he did the morning before the raid. Pride, exhaustion, maybe hope flickering in his eyes. All right, he says. We start with the basics. For the next while, you learn not from books, not from scholars, but from your father crouched beside you in torchlight, scratching symbols into clay with a stick. Circle, grain, number of circles, number of barrels, slash through circle, being used, cross, empty, needs refilling, crossed lines, meat, position, tells you which hook, dot, pork, 2 dots, fish, 3, sausage, dot, numbers, count months. At 12, most foods gone. Bad except honey. Honey never gets marked. It might be immortal. What about vegetables? You ask, nodding to the sandpit. I dig. If firm, eat it. If soft, toss it. That's not very organized. Organization has limits, Agnes. Sometimes you trust your hands and your nose more than marks on a wall. You ponder that. It's good advice for roots, but maybe for more. The torch sputters, oil running low. Your father heads for the passage, then pauses. One more thing, the temperature. You know it's steady about 50, but do you know what that means for food? He gestures around. Above ground, cellars freeze in winter, rot in summer. Down here, we're below the frost line. The earth acts like a blanket, holds warmth in winter, coolness in summer. Our food doesn't freeze, doesn't spoil. It just waits. He taps the wall, 3 feet of earth above us. That's all it takes. 3 feet between us and the cold. 3 feet between us and everything that wants to kill us up there. It doesn't seem like much. A shovel could breach it in an hour. Fire could dry it. Rain could collapse it. But your grandfather learned to make those 3 feet work, angled passages to trap cold air, claystral walls to prevent cracks, entrances hidden in plain sight, 3 feet of dirt shaped by human hands into a lifeline. Father climbs the passage, you follow, palm trailing the smooth wall, feeling the ghost press of generations before you. Outside, the village thrums with movement. Men haul timber from ruins. Women sort salvage. Children dart with messages. Your mother waits by your house, Oswin clutching a wooden horse your father carved last winter. Well, she asks. Your father nods. We'll make it. It'll be close, but we'll make it. She closes her eyes, opens them, tears on her cheeks, but smiling. Then let's get to work. And you, do all of you, the whole village, moving as one body, because survival isn't solitary. It's sharing what you have, teaching what you know, trusting that when the next storm comes, you'll face it together deep in the earth. where the ground itself becomes your ally. 3 days after the raid, your father hands you a spade. Not the polished tools of wealthy farmers. This one is older than you, maybe older than him. The handle is dark, worn smooth by generations of grip. The blade is pitted, sharpened so often it's lopsided. This was your grandfather's, he says. He dug half the chambers with it, the other half with a pick the blacksmith still complains about. You take, it's heavier than expected, awkwardly balanced. But when your father shows you the grip hands placed, just sit, becomes an extension of your arm. Every tool here has a story, he says. This spade's dug graves, cellars, irrigation ditches, but underground is its true work. See how the blade's narrower. In tight passages, you can't swing wide. You need short, controlled strokes, he demonstrates, then hands it back. Today, you learn to dig. Not field digging, underground digging. It's different. You stand near the hillside, your earth house, hidden nearby, but you're not. Going in dot instead. You face a patch of ground that looks like any other. The Grubers lost their house and their chamber. Your father explains. They need a new one. Headman Otto wants us to teach them. He says us, like you belong in this now. You don't know what you're doing, but you're about to learn. The Grubers arrive. Klaus, thin and twitchy. Hilda, hollow-eyed from sleepless nights. Their children, Friedrich and little Lena, trailing behind like shadows. Show me where you want it. Your father says. Klause points to a spot near where their old entrance was. Here we know this ground. Your father crouches, scoops dirt, lets it sift through his fingers, frowns. Not here. But our old chamber collapsed for a reason. He stands, points 20 feet left. There, that's where you build. Klaus stares. The spots. Look, identical grass, dirt, scattered stones. Your father stomps the original spot. A hollow thud echoes like drumskin. Hear that? There's a cavity underneath a gap from old water flow. Build on that, and your walls won't hold. Nothing solid to rest against. They'll shift, crack, eventually collapse. He walks to the spot he chose and stomps again. This time, the sound is solid dense. The thud of packed earth all the way down. Here, you've got clay mixed with stone. It'll hold. You tuck that lesson away. Listen to the ground. The ground will tell you if it's safe. We start by clearing the surface. Your father says, Agnes, show them. Wait, what? He's watching you with that look, the one that means he's testing you, seeing if you've been paying attention. You have been. You just didn't expect to be the one demonstrating. You step forward, forcing confidence into your stride, and begin scraping away dead grass and loose topsoil with your grandfather's spade. You remember from watching him repair chambers. Last year, cut a clean edge first. Mark your boundaries. Then work inward, square or rectangle. You save voice, steadier than you feel. Never round. Round looks easier, but the walls are harder to brace. Square walls lean against beams. Round ones need constant support. Your father nods. There's something in his eyes that might be pride. You carve a 6-8-foot rectangle into the earth, big enough for storage, small enough to finish in reasonable time. The grass comes up in clumps, roots clinging like they're begging not to let go. Now, your father says, taking the spade, we dig. And you do for what feels like forever. The first foot is the hardest, which makes no sense until he explains. The surface layer is tangled with roots, scattered with stones, littered with old bones of animals long forgotten. Every thrust of the spade meets resistance, more time spent clearing debris than moving earth. But once you break past that first layer, everything changes. The soil becomes uniformed ince clay, packed by centuries of weight above. It holds its shape when cut, like stiff bread, cool, heavy, unyielding. This is what you want, your father says, lifting a clod. See how it sticks together. When packed into walls, it stays put. Sandy soil crumbles. Pure mud turns to sludge in rain. But clay, mixed with a little sand and stone, that's your building material. The sun arcs across the sky. Your arms burn, then your shoulders, then your back. Muscles you didn't know existed scream for rest, but you don't stop. No one else does. You won't be the first to quit by midday. The hole is 3 feet deep. Your father calls a rest. You slump against a tree, gasping, wondering how anything was ever built before machines. Your grandfather dug chambers twice this size with nothing but hand tools. It feels superhuman. The hard part's over, your father says, handing you a water skin. First 3 feet are the worst. After that, the earth is more consistent, fewer surprises. How deep do we go? For storage, 6 feet. For living quarters, 8 is better. Deeper means more stable temperature, but also more risk of hitting water. Water, you remember. His warning, build near rivers in dry season, and spring floods will drown your shelter. How do you know where the water is? He points to a cluster of willows 30 yards off. See how greener they are. Their roots drink from shallow groundwater. Dig there, and you'll hit water within 4 feet. Here where the grass is short and brown, the water's much deeper, maybe 12 feet or more. You look around with new eyes. The land isn't flat and empty. It's speaking to you in grass height, tree types, subtle dips and rises. Every detail tells a story of what lies beneath. The afternoon is spent on walls. Your father shows you how to mix clay with straw kneading until the fibers weave through like tendons and flesh. Straw acts like bones, he says. Without it, walls crack with every temperature shift. With it, they flex just enough to survive. Some builders use animal hair, he adds, rolling a lump between his palms. Stronger bond. But you'd need to slaughter a whole herd to get enough. We've got plenty of straw. He hands you a clump. The clay is cold, gritty with sand and stone. Straw pricks your fingers, leaving scratches that'll sting later. The trick is moisture, he says. Too wet, it sags. Too dry, it crumbles. You'll learn the feel. Your hands will know before your mind does. He smiles faintly, like a rope bridge. A rigid bridge breaks in the wind. A rope bridge moves with it. These walls must give a little or they'll give everything. Then there's wood. Every chamber needs beams and good. Timber is scarce, but your father shows you something that changes everything. He picks up a crooked beam, salvaged from the Grubers, burned, house-warped, twisted, the kind a carpenter would discard. Above ground, this is garbage, he says. Underground, perfect. He fits it into a corner. The curve braces both walls at once. Straight beams push in one direction. Curved beams spread the force. Underground, where earth presses from all sides, curved is better than straight every time. You think of your own family's chambers. How many of those beams were scraps rejected elsewhere? Suddenly, your grandfather seems even more brilliant, not just making do with leftovers, but choosing them because they worked better down here. Hilda Gruber, it turns out, has a gift for clay work. Her hands, so weary this morning, knead the mixture with surprising grace. I'm used to bread dough, she explains. This isn't so different. Her husband, Klaus, hauls buckets of clay from the stream bank, where the richest deposits lie. Their son Friedrich takes your spade when your arms finally give out, digging with the fierce energy of a boy determined to prove himself. Mid-afternoon, the blacksmith arrives. Conrad, broad as his forge, arms scarred from years at the anvil. He drops a pick at your father's feet like it weighs nothing. Heard you might need this. Your father tests the edge, handle smooth from use. This'll help with the deeper layers. He calls Klaus over. The picks for breaking compacted clay stuff, so hard it's near stone. You can't cut it with a spade. You crack it, then scoop the pieces. Klaus swings, glancing off at an angle, nearly stumbling from the recoil. Not like that, your father says gently. Don't fight the ground. Let the tools wait, do the work. Short swings. Hit the same spot twice before moving. Klaus tries again. This time, the pick bites deep, chipping off a fist-sized chunk. There. Now do that about 800 more times. Klaus laughs, tired but real sound. Maybe the first since the fire. Conrad watches, arms crossed. Eventually, he speaks. You're building the walls too thick. Your father looks up, surprised. For storage, fine. But if this is also a hiding place, you want thinner walls, more chambers, easier to expand, easier to connect to neighbors. Your father considers this, nods slowly. He's right. We've been thinking wrong. This isn't just one hole. It's part of a network. More connections mean more escape routes. So you adjust. Walls grow thinner. A passage is planned eventually, linking to your family's chambers, giving the Grubers a hidden way out if their entrance is blocked by evening. The main chamber is roughed out 6 feet deep, clay straw walls already rising, not finished, not even close, but it's a beginning. Your father lights a small fire near the entrance. Everyone gathers in its glow. The new chamber gapes like a raw wound in the hillside, exposed, vulnerable. But tomorrow you'll raise ceiling supports, then conceal the entrance, then dig the connecting tunnel, layer by layer, step by step, like building anything worth keeping. My grandfather told me something once. Your dad says, staring into the flames. He said, the earth doesn't care about us, doesn't love us, doesn't hate us. It's just there. But if you learn to work with it instead of against it, if you listen to what it's telling you, it'll shelter you better than any king's castle. Klaus sits with his arm around Hilda. Their children are half asleep, exhausted by a kind of labor they've never known. But something's changed in Klaus's face, not just relief, but the quiet certainty that he can protect his family with his own hands. You feel it too. Your muscles ache. Your palms are raw, blistered where the spade rubbed. You're coated in clay, dust, and sweat. Probably smell like a barn, but beneath all that a deep, quiet satisfaction. You dug. You built. You learned, and tomorrow you'll do it again. Your mother finds you as the fire dies. She's spent the day organizing food, distribution, making sure every family gets their share. You did good, she says, simply. Just 3 words, but from her who never speaks unless it matters. It feels like a blessing. You walk home together through the dark. your father on one side, your mother on the other. Oswin, asleep over your father's shoulder. Above, stars scatter across the sky like spilled diamonds. You wonder if gods watch from up there or if it's just cold light from fires that burned out long before your grandmother's grandmother drew breath. But down here, beneath your feet, is earth, solid, reliable, eternal, and you're learning its secrets, one spadeful at a time. That thought carries you home, through your door, into your straw bed, which suddenly feels softer than silk. You're asleep before your head touches the pillow, and for the first time since the raid, you don't dream of fire. Later in winter, your father takes you on what he calls the walking tour. You know our chambers, he says, pulling on his thickest cloak. You know Eric's, but there's more, a lot more, and if something happens to me, you need to know the whole network. The whole network. The words send a shiver through you, half wonder, half dread. You knew tunnels linked some families. You've walked the passage to Eric's twice, but you didn't realize it was a system. How many? 7 families directly connected, 3 more reachable through exits on the far side of the hill. About 30 adults can move underground without ever surfacing, with children nearly 50 people. A village within a village, hidden beneath frozen earth. Hidden beneath frozen earth. You start at your own entrance disguised, under a pile of stones that looks like rubble, down the familiar steps into your living chamber, past the storage room where grain barrels and hanging meats have already been tapped twice since the raid. But this time, your father keeps going at the back of the storage chamber. A narrow passage you've noticed but never entered, so tight you must turn sideways. Your father barely fits. This is a schlup, he says, voice echoing oddly, a slip passage. Connecting tunnels are built narrow on purpose, harder for attackers to follow. One person with a knife could hold off an army in a space like this. You believe him. The walls press in so close you can't lift your arms to fight. After 20 feet, the passage opens into another chamber, smaller than yours, but walls carved with animals. Deer mid-lip, birds in flight, a boar snarling. The Mueller family's shelter, your father says. Old Franz carved these when he was young. Said it kept him sane through long winters. Franz is long dead, but his carvings remain, watching over whoever shelters here. His son, Bertram, lives above with his family. They weren't home during the raid. Lucky, or perhaps Bertram knew danger was coming and left early. From here to more passages branch off. One leads to the Vogels, the other to the Tanners. Ole's family, you know, his daughter, Greta, you do. Quiet girl, always smells faintly of leather and lye. You never thought much of her. Now you realize her family is woven into this hidden web, connected to yours by tunnels dug by hands that may now be dust. The tour continues. Each chamber is unique. The carved shelves directly into their walls, dozens of them, holding pots and boxes of unknown contents. Their ceiling is 7 feet high. Father was tall, their son explains. Got tired of ducking, dug to extra feet just to stand straight. Took him a summer, but he was stubborn. Ulrich, the tanner's chamber, smells of tannins. He stores curing solutions underground. Leather cures better in steady cold. Your father says half his business happens down here. Nobles wear his boots. never knowing they were made in a peasant's hole in the ground. There's irony in that rich men draped in goods forged in secrecy, thinking themselves above the hands that shaped them. Old Gerder's chambers are the biggest. Surprise, you expected something small. She lives alone, husband dead, children gone. Instead, you find 3 connected rooms, archways smoothed into graceful curves, the work of decades. My husband started this before I was born, your father says, kept adding every year. By the time he died, it was the largest complex in the village. Gerder still maintains it all herself. She's down here now, sitting on a carved bench, looking younger, more at ease, as if this is her true home, and the house above is just for show. Wolf, she greets your father with a nod, and little Agnes learning the ways. Are you? Trying, you say. Good. We need more young ones who understand. Too many think digging a hole makes you safe. It takes knowledge, patience. She gestures around. My husband spent 40 winters perfecting this. I've spent 20 more, keeping it from falling apart. You maintain all this yourself. She laughs, a dry rustle like autumn leaves. What else am I going to do? Sit upstairs and wait to die? Down here, I'm useful. My hands remember what they're for. Your father leaves you with her while he checks repairs elsewhere. Gerder seizes the chance to teach you what your father hasn't. Men dig, she says, leading you with a lamp. That's their gift, moving earth, raising walls. But women maintain. We notice what's wrong before it becomes disaster. She presses her palm to a wall. Feel this. You place your hand beside hers. The clay is cool, slightly damp, moisture seeping through. Not urgent today, but in 6 months, this wall turns to mush. She pulls a pouch from her belt. Inside, a paste of fat and ash. You smear this on wet spots. It seals the pores, stops the water. She demonstrates, rubbing the mixture into the wall until it vanishes. Once a month. I walk every wall in this complex. Takes half a day. Most times, I find nothing. But the times I do, that's when it matters. She shows you how to read. Support beams, cracks along the grain. Harmless, cracks across the grain. Danger, replace before the ceiling falls. One beam in her back chamber has a hairline fracture she's watched for 3 years, waiting to see if it spreads. Some problems you fix fast, some you watch. The trick is knowing which is which. She hands you a small jar of the paste. Take this. Start maintaining your family's chambers. Your father digs, your mother cooks, but someone must walk the walls. Someone must catch disasters before they happen. The jar is heavier than it looks. Responsibility given form. She leads you deeper, revealing more secrets. Ventilation, shafts, narrow holes, angled to draw fresh air without letting cold settle above ground. They're disguised as animal burrows or rock gaps. Drainage channels, floors subtly sloped to guide seepage into collection pits. Hidden niches behind beams. Under platforms, holding tools, herbs, spare wicks, and then false walls. In her deepest room, Gerder presses a spot on the clay. A section swings inward on hidden hinges. Behind it, a secret chamber, tiny, barely room for 4 crouching bodies, but utterly invisible from the main space. If they ever find the tunnels, she says, voice low, this is where you go. Nobody knows about these, not even the village council. Inside, dried food, water skins, a small lamp, enough to survive days, even weeks. while enemies search empty chambers. My husband built this during the worst Norse raids 50 years ago. We hid here 3 days once with 2 children and a baby. I kept silent by covering her mouth. 3 days. That was your Aunt Martyr. She never speaks of it, but you can see it in her eyes when spaces get too tight. You think of Martra Henrik's pregnant wife, her fear during the raid. Now you understand. Every family should have a hidden room, Gerder says, closing the wall. It clicks back into place, seamless. I've told your father. He's working on one dot. When he's done, you must know where it is. The rest of the tour fills the day. You learn the warning signals. Above ground, the church bell hillside, horn blasts from the watchpost. Underground, a system your father shows with quiet pride. In the main passage between your chamber and Eric's, a hollow section of wall dot. Strike it in a certain rhythm, and the sound travels through packed earth to every connected chamber. 3 fast hits get underground now. Your father explains. 3 slow all clear, 2 fast, 1 slow meet at central chamber. What if someone's too far to hear? The sound passes through walls. Each person who hears it repeats the signal in their section. The message crosses the whole network in less than a minute. One person with a knife could hold off an army in a space like this. You believe him. The walls press in so close you can't lift your arms to fight. After 20 feet, the passage opens into another chamber, smaller than yours, but walls carved with animals. Deer midleap, birds in flight, a boar snarling. The Mueller family's shelter, your father says. Old Franz carved these when he was young, said it kept him sane through long winters. Franz is long dead, but his carvings remain, watching over whoever shelters here. His son, Bertram, lives above with his family. They weren't home during the raid. Lucky, or perhaps Bertram knew danger was coming and left early. From here to more passages branch off. One leads to the Vogels, the other to the Tanners. Ole's family, you know, his daughter, Greta, you do. Quiet girl, always smells faintly of leather and lye. You never thought much of her dot. Now you realize her family is woven into this hidden web, connected to yours by tunnels dug by hands that may now be dust. The tour continues. Each chamber is unique. The carved shelves directly into their walls, dozens of them, holding pots and boxes of unknown contents. Their ceiling is 7 feet high. Father was tall, their son explains. Got tired of ducking, dug to extra feet just to stand straight. Took him a summer dot, but he was stubborn. Ulrich, the tanner's chamber, smells of tannins. He stores curing solutions underground. Leather cures better in steady cold. Your father says half his business happens down here. Nobles wear his boots, never knowing they were made in a peasant's hole in the ground. There's irony in that. Rich men draped in goods forged in secrecy, thinking themselves above the hands that shaped them. Old Gerder's chambers are the biggest. Surprise, you expected something small. She lives alone, husband dead, children gone. Instead, you find 3 connected rooms, archways smoothed into graceful curves, the work of decades. My husband started this before I was born, your father says, kept adding every year. By the time he died, it was the largest complex in the village. Gerder still maintains it all herself. She's down here now, sitting on a carved bench, looking younger, more at ease. as if this is her true home, and the house above is just for show wolf. She greets your father with a nod, and little Agnes learning the ways. Are you? Trying, you say. Good. We need more young ones who understand. Too many think digging a hole makes you safe. It takes knowledge, patience. She gestures around. My husband spent 40 winters perfecting this. I've spent 20 more, keeping it from falling apart. You maintain all this yourself. She laughs, a dry rustle like autumn leaves. What else am I going to do? Sit upstairs and wait to die. Down here, I'm useful. My hands remember what they're for. Your father leaves you with her while he checks repairs elsewhere. Gerda seizes the chance to teach you what your father hasn't. Men dig, she says, leading you with a lamp. That's their gift, moving earth, raising walls. But women maintain, we notice what's wrong before it becomes D. Like rings on a tree. Oswin sits across from you, demolishing his pottage with the single-minded focus of a 7-year-old who's spent the day outdoors. He looks up. Can I see? He asks. Can I see the tunnels? Your parents exchange a glance, the kind married people develop after years of silence that speaks louder than words. Soon, your father says, when you're a little older, when you can keep a secret, I can keep secrets. Can you remember the signal? Patterns. 3 fast means what? Oswin's face scrunches in concentration. It means run close. It means get underground now. 3 slow means all clear. 2 fast and 1 slow. I don't know. Then you're not ready yet, but soon. Oswin pouts but doesn't argue. Even at 7, he understands that some knowledge must be earned. You finish your meal in comfortable quiet. The fire crackles in the hearth, its warmth filling the small room. Outside, wind whistles through the gaps in the walls as always. But tonight, the sound doesn't unsettle you, because beneath your feet, connected by hidden passages and secret rooms, another village waits. A village that can't freeze, can't burn, can't be found by anyone who doesn't know the signs. You think of Gerda's false wall, of the baby who couldn't cry, of the 40 winters her husband spent carving safety into the earth, the refuge that saved his family again and again. And you imagine what you'll build, what chambers you'll shape, what tunnels you'll dig, what secrets you'll pass to your own children one day. The earth remembers. Your father once said, now, you're beginning to understand. It's not just dirt, it's memory, it's safety, it's home. You help your mother wash the bowls while your father banks the fire for the night. Oswin is already curled on the straw bed, thumb in his mouth, breathing slow, and even tomorrow will bring more digging, more learning, more preparation for whatever winter throws your way. But tonight, you're warm, you're fed, you're surrounded by family, and somewhere below, the tunnels wait patient as stone, ready when you need them. The blizzard arrives in late winter and doesn't relent. You've known harsh storms before. Everyone has snow piling so high you must dig your way out at dawn. Water freezing in buckets beside a blazing fire. But this is different. This storm howls without pause. Wind screams through the village like a thing alive and furious. Snow falls so thick you lose sight of your own hand. Soon drifts tower over your roof. By the 3rd day, the door won't open at all. Underground, your father says, no one argues. You gather what you can, carry extra blankets. the last dried meat from the rafters, the ceramic pot of honey your mother guards like treasure. Oswin clutches his wooden horse, the one your father carved. Your mother wraps her silver cross in cloth and tucks it inside her dress. The walk to the hidden entrance takes twice as long. Snow reaches your waist. Wind slices through your layers like their air. By the time you reach the stone pile and scrape away enough snow to find the cover, your fingers are numb. Then your underground relief comes instantly. The wind vanishes. The cold softens. That steady 50 wraps around you like a blanket. For a moment, you simply stand in the passage, listening to your own breaths slow. You're not the first. Eric's family is already here. So are the Vogels and old Gerder, who likely descended at the first sign of serious snow. More arrive over the next while. The Mullers, Ulrich the tanner, and his quiet daughter Greta, the widow Brunhild with her 4 children, the youngest on her hip hand, Henrik, the blacksmith's son, half carrying his wife Martyr down the steps. Martyr looks terrible gray-faced, slick with sweat despite the cold. Her belly is swollen far beyond what it was during the raid. She makes small, pained sounds with every step, trying to hide them. How long? Your mother asks, taking Martre's arm. Since this morning, Henrik says, voice trembling. She didn't want to say anything, thought it would pass. Your mother and Gerder exchange a look, the kind women share when men fumble women's matters. It's not going to pass, Gerder says flatly. This baby's coming, storm or no storm. Henrik turns pale. He's a blacksmith used to fire, iron, danger. But watching his wife labor underground during a blizzard is where his courage fails. Go check the drainage channels, your mother tells him. Make sure they're clear. We might be here for days. It's busy work. Everyone knows it, but Henrik clings to it like a lifeline and disappears down the passage. Agnes, your mother calls. Come here. You've never seen a birth. You know the basics village girls learn from watching animals, but knowing and doing are different things. The next while blurs. Martyr labors on the sleeping platform, surrounded by furs and blankets, as the women of the village take turns holding her hands, wiping her brow. The men stay in other chambers, distracting children, organizing supplies, staying out of the way. Your father has Oswin telling tales of knights and dragons, his voice drifting faintly through the tunnels. You become your mother's extra hands. Fetch clean cloth, bring water, press here, hold this, don't let go. Near the end, Martyr screams a raw, animal sound that echoes off the clay wall. Sand silences everyone in the connected chambers. Then a wet, sliding noise. Then crying. Thin, high, alive. A girl, your mother says, voice cracking. She holds something small, red, squirming, kicking its legs like it's trying to swim through air. Healthy lungs, good color, 10 fingers, 10 toes. She places the baby in Martra's trembling arms. Henrik appears at the entrance, still pale, but now with wonder or terror blurring his features. A daughter, Martra whispers. Look, Henrik. A daughter. Henrik drops to his knees. This man who bends iron for a living weeps like a child over the tiny pink life in his wife's arms. What will you name her? Gerder asks. Martyr looks around at the clay walls, the carved symbols, the lamplight flickering in niches, at the faces of those who helped bring her child into the world. In a hidden chamber beneath a storm that still rages far above Erden, she says. It means from the earth. No one speaks for a moment. It's not a common name, but down here surrounded by earth on all sides, in a hole in the ground, carved by dead men's hands, while the world above tried to freeze all life and failed. The storm continues 2 more days. You settle into rhythm, the kind that forms when people share tight quarters with no end in sight. Mornings begin with a count. Headman Otto moves through every chamber, ensuring all are present. Breakfast is smaller than it should be. Supplies dwindle, and no one knows how long this will last. Children grow restless. There's only so much to do. Underground, most of it dulls quickly, so adults take turns entertaining them. Your father tells stories, not particularly well, his voice flat, pacing awkward, but the children don't care. They huddle in the passage, eyes wide, as he describes battles between kings who never lived and monsters who never were. And then the knight raised his sword, your father says, voice dropping, and the dragon opened its mouth, fire pouring out like a river of death. What happened next? Oswin demands. The knight ducked just in time. The fire went right over his head, so close it singed the feathers on his helmet. Knights don't have feathers on their helmets, a Brunhild child objects. This one did. He was a special knight. The children accept this without protest. That's the thing about stories underground. The rules are different. Normal doesn't exist down here, so why should it in the telling? Old Hansu lost all his dried fish in the raid, and hasn't stopped complaining. Turns out to be surprisingly good with children. He teaches them games. Knucklebones played with actual bones from his pocket, counting games, memory challenges. Red fox, fat pig, old boot. Hans calls. Red fox, fat pig, old boot. The children echo. Red fox, fat pig, old boot, broken wheel. Red fox, fat pig, old boot, broken wheel. Red fox, fat pig, old boot, broken wheel, frozen puddle, angry goat. The sequence grows until someone stumbles and drops out. Usually, it's Greta, the tanner's daughter, who wins. Her mind is a trap, she recalls. 20-word chains without effort. The others have started calling her the keeper for how she locks everything away in her head. Other rituals form. Midday prayers, led by whoever remembers the most words. Evening songs, hummed softly so as not to wake the babies. The lighting of fresh lamps when old ones sputter. A small ceremony, marking timing, a place where time doesn't truly pass. The women do what women always do: cook with dwindling stores, care for the newborn and the weary, mend clothes falling apart, speak in low voices about things children shouldn't hear. You're pulled in between too old for games, too young for the women's serious talk, so you do what feels right every day at least once. You walk the walls just as Gerder taught you. Start in your family's chamber. Move through each connected space. Press your palm to the clay, feeling for dampness. Inspect support beams for new cracks. Ensure drainage channels aren't blocked. Gerder watches you the second day and nods. Good, you're paying attention. It's something to do. It's more than that. It's necessary. Underground spaces don't maintain themselves. They need people watching, caring. War. They fall apart. She pauses, lamplight catching her eyes. Like anything worth having, really. You think on that as you walk. The walls no longer press threateningly. They've grown familiar. You know the bumps in the clay, the scent of each chamber, how sound shifts depending on where you stand. You're learning this Placeth way you learned. The fields above every corner becoming part of you. On the fourth day, the Muller boys fight. It starts over nothing, a sleeping spot, a glance, a loud breath. Reasons don't matter. Real dang. Reasons don't matter. What matters is to Boyston and 12 rolling on the floor, fists flying, while their father and yours pull them apart. One ends up in your chamber, the other in Eric's 30 feet of earth and 2 narrow passages. Between them, that's the real danger, Girder says later. Not cold, not raiders. Cabin fever, too long, in close quarters people turn on each other. How do you stop it? You don't. You manage it. Give people tasks. Keep them busy. Ensure everyone has a corner to call their own. And watch for the signs when eyes grow twitchy, voices sharp. That's when you step in. You look around. Everyone is occupied. Your mother teaching mending. Henrik showing Oswin wood carving. Eric playing knucklebones, while his wife nurses Erden, giving Martar rest. Not by accident. The ones who survive longest down here, Girder says, are those who find meaning in small things, a well-carved spoon, a story told true. Dry wool. Big victories are rare, but small ones, they're everywhere if you learn to see them. You tuck that away with everything else she's taught you that night. Before sleep claims you on the straw floor between your mother and brother, you look up at the low ceiling. Someone carved a sun there long ago, a simple circle with raised dot. It's the only sun you've seen in days, but somehow it's enough. On the 5th day, silence wakes you. You lie still, listening. Then you realize the wind is gone. You'd grown so used to its muffled howl that its absence feels louder than its presence. The storm has passed. Your father is already awake. He catches your eye, puts a finger to his lips, and gestures for you to follow. You step over sleeping bodies, avoid scattered bundles, and reach the entrance passage. The wooden cover is still in place. Your father presses his ear to it. Listens. Nothing. He waits, counts silently, then lifts the cover a crack. Gray light spills in, making you squint after days of lamplight. Fresh air rushes down, cold, clean, sharp, with the scent of snow. You'd forgotten what air tasted like. He opens the cover fully and climbs out. You follow. The world above is white, a seamless blanket of snow covering everything, transforming the familiar into something alien. The sun rises, painting the snow pink and gold. No one would guess a village lies beneath this. No one would know life thrives here at all. Just smooth, endless, white, beautiful. Your father says a word he rarely uses. Deadly, you reply. He laughs, a real laugh. The first in days. Both, same thing sometimes. You stand together, father and daughter, breathing the cold air, watching the sun rise over a world that tried to kill you and failed. 5 days underground, 40 souls in chambers meant for half that. A baby born in the earth. 2 boys nearly killing each other over a sleeping spot. Countless small acts of kindness, frustration, boredom, fear, and now it's over. Until next time, you go back down to help wake the others. There's work ahead, snow to clear, damage to assess, food to ration. But first, breakfast. And for the first time in nearly a week, you'll eat it in sunlight. Spring arrives slowly, as it always does. One day, icicles drip instead of grow. The next, mud appears where ice once was. Then birds return. The air smells green. Winter feels like a story told long ago, but underground. Spring means one thing: water. The first warm day of March, Gerda warns. That's when you watch. All that snow has to go somewhere, and somewhere is down. She's right. On your morning wall walk, you notice it. The dry winter walls are sweating. Beads of moisture gather, run into drainage channels, the same channels your father dug years ago, which once seemed excessive. Now you understand why he made them deep. The frost line. Your father explains. All that frozen ground is turning to mud. Mud moves, seeps, finds every crack. For the next while, you do nothing but water management, clearing debris from channels, checking collection pits, ensuring slopes still guide water away from living space sand out through safe exits. It's boring, repetitive. Your knees ache from crawling. Your hands stay cold and wet. But each time you unclog a chanland, watch backed up water flow again, there's satisfaction. A tiny victory, just as Gerda said. In one ventilation shaft, you find a bird's nest of wrens, likely seeking shelter. In winter, never leaving. Inside, 3 tiny skeletons, chicks that didn't survive. You whisper a prayer. It feels right then. Clear the rest and move on. That's life down here. Things die in the dark. You find them. Deal with them. Keep going. The Grubers struggle. Their new chamber dug after the raid was built for spring thaw. Klaus made the drainage channels level, not sloped. Water pools instead of flows. One morning in mid-March, shouting echoes from their direction, you arrive to find your father ankle-deep in muddy water, helping Klaus and Hilda move supplies to higher ground. Their sleeping platform is soaked, stored. Grain sits in rising brown water. The collection pit is full. Klaus panics. I emptied it yesterday. Where's all this coming from? Your father presses his ear to it, listens. Nothing. He waits, counts silently, then lifts the cover a crack. Gray light spills in, making you squint. After days of lamplight, fresh air rushes down, cold, clean, sharp with the scent of snow. You'd forgotten what air tasted like. He opens the cover fully and climbs out. You follow. The world above is white, a seamless blanket of snow covering everything, transforming the familiar into something alien. The sun rises, painting the snow pink and gold. No one would guess a village lies beneath this. No one would know life thrives here at all. Just smooth, endless, white, beautiful. Your father says a word he rarely uses. Deadly, you reply. He laughs, a real laugh. The first in days. Both, same thing sometimes. You stand together, father and daughter, breathing the cold air, watching the sun rise over a world that tried to kill you and failed. 5 days underground, 40 souls in chambers meant for half that. A baby born in the earth. 2 boys nearly killing each other over a sleeping spot. Countless small acts of kindness. Frustration, boredom, fear, and now it's over. Until next time, you go back down to help wake the others. There's work ahead, snow to clear, damage to assess, food to ration. But first, breakfast. And for the first time in nearly a week, you'll eat it in sunlight. Spring arrives slowly, as it always does. One day, icicles drip instead of grow. The next, mud appears where ice once was. Then birds return. The air smells green. Winter feels like a story told long ago, but underground. Spring means one thing: water. The first warm day of March, Gerda warns. That's when you watch. All that snow has to go somewhere, and somewhere is down. She's right. On your morning wall walk, you notice it. The dry winter walls are sweating. Beads of moisture gather, run into drainage channels, the same channels your father dug years ago, which once seemed excessive. Now you understand why he made them deep. The frost line. Your father explains. All that frozen ground is turning to mud. Mud moves, seeps, finds every crack. For the next while, you do nothing but water management, clearing debris from channels, checking collection pits, ensuring slopes still guide water away from living space sand out through safe exits. It's boring, repetitive. Your knees ache from crawling. Your hands stay cold and wet. But each time you unclog a chanland, watch backed up water flow again, there's satisfaction. A tiny victory, just as Gerda said. In one ventilation shaft, you find a bird's nest of wrens, likely seeking shelter. In winter, never leaving. Inside, 3T everywhere, your father says. The whole hillside is draining. You need a second outlet. They work all day digging an emergency channel linking the Gruber chamber to the main network. It's sloppy, not the careful work you learned last autumn, but it works. By evening, water recedes. The Grubers wring out blankets, relief on their faces. Should have listened, Klaus tells your father. You said to slope the channels. I thought level was enough. Now you know. Now I know. That's how lessons are learned. Down here, usually the hard way. But at least they're learned. April brings mudless mud. Fields above are too wet to plow. So people turn to other tasks. Mending tools, repairing roofs, planning for planting, and teaching. Oswin finally gets his tunnel tour. Your father decides. He's ready in a rainy afternoon with nothing else to do. You ask to come partly to see how much your brothers learned, partly to witness the chambers through fresh eyes. Oswin is terrified but hides it poorly. His face pales as you descend even, though he's been here before. This is different. This isn't hiding. This is belonging. What's that? He asks, pointing to the carved handprints on the wall. Grandfather's hands. Your father says, and his fathers before him. Others, longer back than anyone remembers. Why? Because they wanted to leave something. Proof they were here, that they mattered, Oswin thinks. Then, without asking, he presses his small hand beside the ancient one's. His fingers don't reach as far. He's still just a child. Hands soft, unmarked. But someday, they won't be. Your father doesn't scold. Just watches a small smile at the corner of his mouth. Now you're part of it, he says. Part of the wall. Part of the story. The tour continues. Oswin learns what you learned months ago, but reacts differently. Where you were curious, he's nervous. Where you asked questions, he's silent, absorbing everything with wide eyes and a furrowed brow. The narrow passages frighten him. You see it in how he hesitates before each one, how his breath quickens when walls close in. It's okay to be scared, you tell him, surprising yourself. I was scared, too, at first. You were. Everyone is. The earth is heavy above you, around you. Nowhere to run if something goes wrong. That fear keeps you careful. He nods, slowly, not convinced, but still moving. By the tour's end, He knows the signal patterns. 3 fast, 3 slow, 2 and 1. He knows where the collection pits are and why they matter. He knows about the false wall in Girder's chamber, though your father makes him swear not to tell anyone. Not ever, not even your best friend. Some secrets save lives, your father says. That one's yours to keep now. Oswin takes the weight of it seriously. You see it in the set of his small shoulders, the firm line of his jaw. He's 7, already trusted with something vital. It's changing him. That night, he crawls into bed beside you and whispers in the dark, Agnes, do you think I'll be good at it? The underground stuff, you think. He was scared, today truly scared, but he didn't run, didn't cry. He kept stepping forward, even when the passages narrowed and the ceiling pressed low. Yeah, you say. I think you'll be good at it. He's quiet a moment. Then, better than you. You laugh, can't help it. Don't push your luck, little brother. He giggles, rolls over, and within minutes, his breathing slows deep, even sleep. Children do that. Terror, one moment, peace, the next. You lie awake longer, listening, your parents murmuring by the fire, an owl calling from the woods, the soft groan of timber settling in the cold. Tomorrow will bring more work. There's always more work. But tonight, just for this breath, everything feels whole. Summer arrives like a guest no one invited, but everyone tolerates. 1 week mornings are cool. Mist rising off the fields, dew glinting on every leaf. The next, the sun blazes and the same people who cursed winter's bite now complain of heat. Underground, the chambers transform, no longer refuge from cold. They become sanctuary from swelter. That steady 50 warm in winter is now cool relief in summer's blaze. People begin spending afternoons below, escaping the midday furnace above. Our grandparents knew this too, your father says, stretched on the sleeping platform in the dim, cool dark while the world bakes. The earth doesn't just warm you in winter. It cools you in summer. Same principle, opposite direction. You think on that. The same space serving opposite needs. Not heating or cooling, but moderating, keeping things steady while the surface swings between extremes. Food storage grows more crucial. Milk stays fresh for days. Underground dowers above meat lasts longer. Butter holds its shape. Instead of pooling into grease, your mother carves out a section of the storage chamber just for summer. Cheese wrapped in cloth, hanging from beams. Cream in ceramic pots, lids weighted with stones to keep out flies. Garden vegetables stored briefly, crisp and cool instead of wilting. It's like having a room that's always November, she says, pleased with her own metaphor. No matter the calendar. Village women gather underground in the afternoons, mending, spinning, sharing gossip on carved benches and packed earth floors. It's become almost social. You join sometimes, not for the chatter, which bores you, but for the company, and because your mother expects it. A girl your age should be learning women's work, she says, even if she spends half her time crawling through tunnels like a mole. The women tell stories as they work of grandmothers and great-grandmothers, of harvests and weddings, of children born and buried, of older times when raiders came often, winters bit deeper, and death waited just beyond a bad day. You listen. These stories matter too, not about walls or drainage, but about survival of memory, of community, of knowing who you are and where you came from. baby Erden thrives. You see her often in the network. Mar-Tr brings her to Gerder's chambers on the hottest afternoons, where the old woman dotes on her as if she's the world's most precious thing, which, to Marcher and Henrik, she surely is. She was born in the earth, Gerder says, bouncing the baby on her knee as Erden gurgles. That makes her special. Means the earth will always protect her. You're not sure that's true. Probably isn't, but it's a kind belief, and Martyr draws comfort from it. So you say nothing. The baby has grown since that frantic night in the blizzard. Her face has filled out. Dark, thick hair crowns her head. She makes sounds that almost form words. If you listen closely, she doesn't remember being born underground, but the underground will remember her by high summer. You've walked the walls so often you could navigate the entire network blindfolded. Every chamber is as familiar as your own home. You know which walls weep moisture, which stay dry, which beams stand solid, which need watching, where air flows freely and where it stagnates without care. Gerder has started calling you her apprentice. It makes you feel strange proud, but strange. You're 12, too young by most reckonings to be anyone's apprentice. But down here, age matters less than knowledge, and you have knowledge, now hard-won. Month by month, wall by wall, you'll be the keeper when I'm gone. Gerder says one afternoon as you inspect a seal she taught you to apply last winter. Someone has to remember what matters. You're not going anywhere. Everyone goes somewhere eventually. That's the point of teaching, so it doesn't leave with you. You don't like thinking of Gerder gone. She's become more than a neighbor, a teacher, a guide, the one who sees what others miss and explains it in ways that make sense. But she's old, truly old, and even the earth offers no shield against time. Summer storms differ from winters. They crash in fast thunder, splitting the sky. Rain hammering like buckets overturned, but fade within hours, leaving the world soaked and steaming as sun returns. You don't go underground for these, no need. They're dramatic, not deadly, but afterward, you always check the chamber's drainage flowing. No leaks where none should be. It's become instinct, part of you now's natural as breathing. Your father notices you've got the touch, he says, watching you trace a wall in the storage chamber. Some people dig, build, but never understand. You understand. I just pay attention. That's all understanding is. Paying attention long enough for things to make sense. By harvest, the chambers lie quiet. By day, everyone in the fields. Grain flowing in, barrels refilling after winter's drawdown. The cycle turns, as it always has, generation after generation. You find yourself thinking of those generations often. Now the hands pressed into clay, the chambers old before your grandparents drew breath. Knowledge passed mouth to ear, parent to child, keeper to keeper. Your handprint isn't on the wall yet. Neither is Oswin's, not truly. His was child's gesture. Someday you'll add your mark properly. Proof you were here, that you mattered, but not yet. So much still to learn, so many walls to walk, so many quiet disasters to stop before they bloom. The earth waits patient. It was here before humans. It will remain long after your dust. But tonight, it's yours, your shelter, your safety, your home within a home. And tomorrow, you'll check the walls again. The first frost paints the fields white, makes your breath mist in the morning air. You're 13 now. Your birthday passed quietly, an extra spoonful of honey in your porridge, a new pair of leather gloves your mother traded for at market. 13 feels different from 12, heavier, more real. It's been nearly a year since the raid, since you first followed your father underground and learned a whole world lived beneath your feet. The village looks healed, the storehouse rebuilt leger with stone foundations, the Gruber's home finished, solid, warm, with a proper chimney that doesn't smoke. Burn scars on the fields have greened over to a stranger. Nothing ever happened, but you know where to look. That's the difference. This morning, you rise before anyone else, habit formed over months. You love these quiet moments, before Oswin chatters, before your mother stirs the pot, before the day fills with its endless demands. These minutes are yours alone. You pull on your new gloves and slip outside. The entrance is hidden better than ever over summer. Your father laid sod over the wooden cover. Now it's just another patch of ground. Even the marker stones are rearranged to look natural. Someone could walk past and never know. You don't go down, just check, as you do every morning. Cover, secure, no disturbance, no animal tracks nearby. 30 seconds, then you move on. The village wakes around you, smoke from chimneys, dogs barking, the rooster crowing late as always, Henrik's hammer already ringing at the forge. You make your way to Gerder's house. She's on her doorstep, wrapped in a blanket, watching the dawn like she's memorizing it. Cold one, she says, as you approach. First frost. Felt it in my bones before I saw it on the ground. She pulls the blanket tighter. Come inside. I've got something to show you. Her house smells of herbs, wood smoke, and something older, something like time itself. She's lived here, alone, 20 years. The walls have soaked up her presence like clay drinks rain. She leads you to her work table, laid out, a stretched hide drawn on with charcoal. This is the network, she says. Every chamber, every passage, every connection. You lean closer. The lines are shaky, proportions likely wrong, but the logic is clear. Your family's chambers linked to Eric's, too. The Mullers, the Vogels, the Tanners, all tied by narrow schlopps, passages, spreading like roots beneath the village. I've been working on this since summer, Gerder says, making sure I didn't forget anything. Why? She looks at you with eyes that have seen centuries. Because I won't be here forever, and someone needs to know, not just from walking it, but from seeing it all at once. You don't argue. There's no point. She knows her years are thinning. Pretending otherwise would insult you both. I want you to have this, she says. When I'm gonna keep it safe. Keep it secret. Don't show it to anyone unless they've earned the right. You take the map carefully, roll it, tuck it inside your dress. The hide is soft, warm from the fire. Thank you. Don't thank me. Learn. Don't thank me. Learn it. Every line, every turn, burn it into your memory so you could draw it blindfolded. I will. She nods, satisfied. Then she does something new, reaches out, touches your cheek. Her fingers are dry, papery. You're a good girl, Agnes. Better than I was at your age. Better than most ever are. She drops her hand. Now go. I'm tired, and you've got walls to check. You leave her by the fire, blanket around her shoulders. Part of you wants to stask more, learn everything before it's too late. But another part knows some knowledge can't be rushed. It comes when it's ready or not at all. The morning passes in chores, feeding chickens, hauling water, helping your mother with bread, keeping Oswin from mischief, a full-time task. But in your mind, the map pulses its lines, its secrets, the quiet weight of responsibility, tightening like a stone in still water. After the midday meal, you go underground, not because anything's wrong, but because you need to, like others need prayer, or song, or forest walks. You need to feel the earth around you solid, unchanging, while the world above spins through seasons. The chambers are empty today, just you, the silence, the steady air. You begin your walk, your family's chamber, first walls dry, beams sound, carved hands, watching from the clay generations frozen in time. Someday your print will join them, not yet. But someday, through the schlopps, to the Muller's Franz's animal carvings seem to stir in lamplight, deer leaping, boar charging, a little damp near the floor. Nothing urgent, but you note it. Bring paste tomorrow, on through the network. High ceiling room, Tanner's workshop with its sharp tang. Eric's chamberware, Eridan, drew her first breath during the blizzard. You think of her now nearly a year old, wobbling on new legs, born in the earth. The earth will always be part of her whether she remembers or not. Finally, Gerder's chambers, the vast complex her husband built over 40 winters. She maintained 20 more. You walk every inch, fingers trailing walls, searching for what she taught you to find, and you find it in the deepest room, behind the false walla hairline crack, where wall meets ceiling. You'd have missed it months ago. You press your palm to it cold, slightly damp, not good. Exactly the kind of small flothet becomes disaster if unseen, likely from spring thaw. Moisture seeping in, freezing, expanding, slowly prying the clay apart. You could fix it yourself. You have the skill, but this is her hidden room. It wouldn't feel right to touch it without her. So you climb back up, walk through passages you know by heart, cross the village to Gerder's door. She's asleep in her chair, breathing slow, face relaxed a piece. She never shows awake. You hate to wake her, but this matters. Gerder. Her eyes snap, open, alert, sharp. Old instincts never sleep. Agnes, what is it? I found a crack in your hidden room. Corner, near the ceiling. She's quiet a moment, then, show me. You help her up together. You walk to her entrance, down steps worn by decades, through chambers shaped by her hands and her husband's. By the time you reach the hidden room, she's leaning on you more than she'd admit. You show her the crack. She studies it, runs her fingers along it, presses her palm just as you did. You found this on your own. Yes. Without me telling you where to look. Yes. Another silence. Then slowly she smiles, a real smile, eyes included. Good girl, she says. Good keeper. She shows you the fix, not regular paste, but a mix of clay, lime, and something from a jar that smells of old eggs. You work together, filling, smoothing, strengthening. This won't last forever, she warns. Nothing does. In 10 years, maybe 20, the whole corner will need rebuilding. That's how underground works. Constant care, constant attention. I understand. Do you? She looks hard at you. Really understand. This isn't just about clay and lime. It's about paying attention to what matters even when no one's watching. It's about caring for peekaboo. Aren't born yet who'll need these chambers 100 years from now. I understand, you say, and this time you mean it deeper. She touches your face against a papery fingers. Yes, she says quietly, I think you do. By the time you leave, the sky blazes orange, pink, purple colors spilled across clouds like paint on canvas. You stand at the entrance, half in earth, half in air. Behind you, tunnels stretching into dark. Ahead, village settling for night smoke. Rising children called home, dogs curling by hearths. You used to see two worlds, the house where you lived, the chambers where you hid. Now you know, they're one, like breath in and out, like summer and winter, like living and dying. The earth is always beneath you waiting, patient, ready. You close the entrance carefully, check the sod, ensure it looks untouched. Then you walk home through gathering dusk, gloves warm on your hands, map still pressed against your skin. Your mother has supper ready, pottage thick with harvest vegetables, a saved scrap of cheese, bread still warm from the oven. Your family gathers by the fire, your father weary from winter prep, your mother already planning 3 steps ahead. Oswin nodding off mid-bite. No one speaks much. No need. The fire crackles. Wind sighs outside. An owl calls to the dark. This is survival, not the raids, the blizzards, the births, underground. Those are peaks, moments that cling to memory. Survival. Is this quiet evenings, shared meals, family close against the coming cold? Your father catches your eye across the flames. Check the chambers today. Yes, everything good. You think of the crack, the fix, the lesson. Everything's good. He nods, satisfied. He trusts you now. You've earned it wall by wall, passage by passage. After supper, you help your mother clean while your father carries Oswin to bed. The boy barely stirring, likely dreaming of dragons, still obsessed since the blizzard stories. Your mother touches your shoulder as you stack bowls. You were gone a long time. I was with Gerda, learning things. She's teaching you well. She's teaching me everything she knows because she won't be here forever. Your mother is quiet. Then, none of us are here forever. That's why we teach, so something survives. Later, in your bed, straw rustling beneath you, blankets heavy and warm. You think on her words. Your mother's voice drifts softly, talking with your father about tomorrow's tasks, next week's plans, the endless work of keeping a family alive. Through winter, outside, frost silvering the world in moonlight. The cold is coming. Long nights, short days, the same cycle that's turned since before your ancestors were named. But beneath you, underfloor, foundation, soil, the chambers wait, steady, warm, ready. You close your eyes. The map is memorized, burned into your mind as Gerda asked. Every line, every turn, every hidden room. You see it behind your eyelids, a web of safety beneath the village, like roots beneath a tree. Your family is safe. Your village is prepared. The earth is patient and you are its keeper. Outside, the owl calls again. Now, maybe on your roof, a night hunter beginning its work. But you're not a hunter tonight, not a digger, not a keeper. Just a girl in a warm bed, surrounded by family, drifting toward sleep on this first frosty night. Your breath slows, thoughts soften, house sounds melt into wind, into earth settling beneath you. The underground is there. It will always be there tomorrow. You'll check the walls again, fix what's broken, learn what's hidden. But right now, only this, the weight of blankets, the rhythm of your heart, the sweet heaviness of a day well lived, pulling you gently down, not into the darkness of tunnels, but into something softer, kinder. Sleep, it comes like spring after winter, slow, sure, unstoppable. Muscles relax, mind quiets. Your last thought, hands pressed into clay, generations of keepers before you. Then dash, nothing. Only rest, only peace, only the deep, dreamless sleep of someone who's found their place in the world, above the ground, below it, part of something older and larger than any single life. The earth holds you, and you are home.